Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the brutal reality of late-stage dieting. Look, while most folks can drop a few pounds with basic, run-of-the-mill advice, actually getting ripped, like stripping down to that highly defined muscle, requires a totally different toolkit. Because when you're trying to survive those final stages, the generic advice, it just absolutely stops working. So we're going to lay out the specific, highly effective tactics you need to actually get lean and, more importantly, stay there without completely losing your mind. To figure out why diets fall apart, we've got to look at this totally fascinating concept from our source material. The greatest shortcoming of the human race is man's inability to understand the exponential function. Now, think about credit card debt, right? A single dollar growing by 2% a day. After a month, it's a bit annoying. After 5 years, it's financially devastating. Well, dieting hunger works exactly the same way. It might feel super calm and totally manageable for the first few days, but most of us just do not anticipate that by week 5 or week 10, that hunger compounds so aggressively that you are literally dreaming about food. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our survival roadmap. First, we'll hit the exponential hunger trap, then the pitfalls of protein slop, high-volume food solutions, and we'll wrap up with tracking and behavioral tactics. Starting right off with Section 1, the exponential hunger trap. So, a 300 to 500 calorie deficit feels like an absolute breeze on day 1. But when that exponential hunger rears its head weeks later, all those old tricks totally fail. Take the 10-minute liquid illusion, for example. We've all heard the generic internet advice, right? Oh, just drink a big glass of water when you're hungry. But when you've been grinding on a diet for 2 months, drinking water does absolutely nothing to fill the void. Why? Because water, whether it's sparkling, diet soda, or iced tea, empties out of your stomach in under 10 minutes. It might distract you for a fleeting second, but liquid by itself completely fails to fill up the physical space in your stomach for any meaningful amount of time. Section 2, the pitfalls of protein slop. When that exponential hunger takes over, we almost always turn to false saviors. Our source perfectly dubs these highly processed diet snacks protein slop. You know the ones, those double chocolate chunk protein bars that taste exactly like a fudgy brownie? They're just packed with sweeteners, oils, gums, and emulsifiers, all glopped together into a little rectangle that fits right in your pocket. Because it's so incredibly processed, you can scarf it down in 10 seconds flat, and guess what? You're still ravenous. Even worse, that addictive sweet taste profile just makes you crave another one right out of the box. Contrast that with real protein. Real protein actually takes physical time to chew and swallow. It fills up actual volume on your plate, and because it isn't engineered in the lab to be hyper-addictive, it provides true, lasting satiety. Which brings us to the whole marketing deception of it all. The word protein is basically a magic marketing spell right now. Companies will literally slap it on a cereal box even if that box contains more sugar than protein by weight. Seriously. Even when they swap out carbs for zero-calorie sweeteners and fiber powders, just so they can claim on the label, oh, only 4 net carbs, they're still legally marketing additive-filled slop. And this slop is specifically designed by food scientists so that you'll eat multiple bowls of it in one sitting, all while feeling completely healthy and totally justified in running back to the store to buy it in bulk. It is a massive, massive trap. Moving on to Section 3, best high-volume food choices. So, how do we actually survive this? If liquids fail and protein slop just leaves us craving more, the real mechanical solution here is eating water. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I mean. Take cantaloupe or rock melon. It's 90% water and only 10% solid matter. But because it goes into your mouth as a solid food, eating it physically fills that massive void in your stomach. And it takes significantly longer to digest than just chugging a glass of water. You are essentially eating water disguised as a solid, triggering those stretch receptors in your stomach and actually keeping yourself full. So, what exactly should you be putting on your plate? Our sources lay out a highly actionable roster of the absolute best high-volume food choices. First up, tofu. It's mostly water and protein, making it incredibly filling without being dangerously addictive. Next, potatoes. People are so terrified of carbs, but guys, potatoes are mostly water. You can eat a whole, full-size potato for just 100 calories. Then we've got fruits like strawberries, watermelon, blueberries, apples, and oranges, all sitting at over 85% water content. And finally, thick soups and stews. Because they're piping hot and require you to actually sit down and eat them slowly with a spoon, they take real physical time to consume and digest, which completely maximizes your satiety. These are the foods that register in your brain as a solid, substantial meal, but fundamentally, they're just cleverly packaged water.
And if you want the absolute ultimate volume trick, our source provided this genius little hack: the super expanded oat soup. Step 1, microwave dry oats with a bit of water so they expand. Step 2, add even more water and microwave them again to create these super expanded oats. Step 3, take your chocolate protein powder, but don't just dump it in dry. That totally wastes a volume opportunity. Instead, mix it with a full glass of water first. Step 4, pour that liquid protein right into your expanded oats. Boom, you've just created a massive, giant bowl of oat soup for under 300 calories. You have to literally sit down with a spoon to eat the whole thing, and it's going to stave off that exponential hunger for a good 5+ hours.
Wrapping things up with Section 4, Master Diet Psychology and Tracking. Because food selection is really only half the battle. 2,000. That is the massive number of calories you might accidentally go over your goal if you blindly estimate an untracked meal, like, say, grabbing some pizza at a friend's house. You guess the portion, you overeat, and then you realize you just blew past your limits by 2,000 calories. Suddenly, an entire week of grueling, hard-fought progress is just totally gone. Poof! You simply must track everything. Seriously, the exact moment you stop being deeply aware of your calories is the very moment you fall off the diet. And please don't rely on estimations or flawed tools. The source specifically notes that trying to use general AI like ChatGPT to track your food is a terrible idea. It forgets details, it hallucinates extra meals you never even ate, and it completely loses track of dates. Instead, you need a highly reliable method, whether that's a dedicated app where you can snap photos of your food, scan barcodes, or meticulously weigh your meals on a food scale. The specific method matters way less than your consistency. You absolutely cannot leave anything to guesswork here. Beyond tracking, you've kind of got to completely reorganize your daily life using strict behavioral survival tactics. Think about it. If your daily allowance is a strict 1,800 calories, you can only survive by spending most of your day deliberately not eating. You need to distract yourself with work or hobbies. You absolutely have to remove trigger foods entirely from your environment so they aren't just sitting there staring you down. And crucially, eat a maximum of 3 to 4 times a day, combining your snacks right into your main meals. Why? Because hunger is exactly like a gate. The moment you start eating, that gate swings open and it simply does not close until you are fully satisfied. Spreading tiny, bird-sized meals throughout the day just keeps that hunger gate painfully open all day long.
Which brings us to the ultimate mechanism: extreme patience. Getting ripped is not about obsession. Actually, obsessing over your food will inevitably cause you to fail. Getting lean requires giving yourself as few decisions as possible and as few chances to mess up as possible. Wake up, weigh yourself, hit your macro goals, do your workout, go to sleep, and repeat the whole shebang. Do not let impatience drive you to the grocery store at 9 p.m. for a box of deceptive protein slop.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final, pretty provocative question. Are you relying entirely on fragile willpower, fighting a completely losing battle against the exponential function of hunger? Or are you ready to finally leverage the physical volume of your food, ditch the protein slop for good, and engineer a diet that actually works with your body? The strategies are right here in your hands. How you choose to apply them, well, that's entirely up to you.